Welcome to Front Row. Top news in the Virgin Islands is told only by JTV, making the headlines today. I will fix NHI, says a PVIM leader, Ronnie W. Skelton. Mothers advised to get coffins ready for their sons living risky street lives. The realities of mental illnesses and a cause to fund a scholarship to study in this field. And from running with the boys with cardboard shoes to being honored 30 years later, the story of Cassandra Craig. The details of these when we return.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.
Welcome back for the news in the details. The man who was shot and left for dead on Sunday, February 12, 2023, is now identified as Jahphix Christopher, a 23-year-old native of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and according to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, he was a visitor to the territory when he met his death. On Friday, February 24, JTV News got word of the 23-year-old's identity and the circumstances that led to his family identifying his body. Asani Fret of Greenland Tortola is currently on remand charged for Christopher's murder, wounding a female during the shooting incident, and being in possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life. However, during his first court appearance on February 15, it was revealed that Fret was not the shooter. The shooter fled the scene. When police arrived on the scene that ill-fated morning, Christopher was found dead. He was at the time wearing a mask and had two loaded guns in his possession. The court had heard that Fret and the mystery shooter were in a car when they came under attack by three men on scooters. The court heard that Fret and the mystery shooter were in a car when they came under attack by three men on scooters. The individual who was in the passenger seat of the car with Fret opened fire at their attackers. Two escaped, and the third person, Christopher, was killed. The shooter remains at large. The Royal Virgin Islands Police Force says they are aware that other persons were involved in the murder and are therefore seeking information that could help with identifying the other assailants. Persons can contact a Crime Stopper tip line number anonymously at 800-8477. Alternatively, persons can call 368-9345. Residents across the territory, especially Tortola, Yes Van Dyke, and Anegada, were amused at a bright object in the skies on the night of February 27, 2023. One woman on Tortola explains what she saw. Marsha, explain to me the sighting you saw earlier tonight.
All right, Kathy, I wouldn't say that it was a sighting. I don't know exactly what it was. At first, when I was looking out my window, I thought it was a helicopter. And so but I think in myself, I said that's a lot of light for a helicopter. And then as we continue to look, then we realize, well, okay, there's something that looks like it's just kind of hovering. And then after a few seconds, it wasn't very long, after a few seconds, it flew higher and left all the light behind. Not sure what it was. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. But I just know what I was looking at, so that's what I saw. I don't know what it was.
About what time?
The first image that I took was at 7:22 p.m. And it was a few seconds after I had first seen it. So about 7:22 p.m. tonight.
Okay, and where exactly are you located?
Well, I'm in Carrot Bay and I'm facing Jos Van Dyke. But it looks like it was kind of behind Jos Van Dyke. I can't say for sure where it was because, like I said, I'm far away, so I can't tell exactly where it is.
Okay, so it was just one object you saw, or there were several?
Just one that I could see.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know for sure what it was, so I'm not saying it was anything. I don't know what it was, but I did see an image, and I did see an object, and then I did see the object ascend, leaving all that light behind.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
You're welcome.
What was seen is believed to have been the 330-foot Falcon 9 rocket that carried a batch of SpaceX's brand new next-generation Starlink V mini satellite to orbit. It took off around 6:15 p.m. from Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Center in Florida, USA. This is according to information from Florida Today News. Some persons on neighboring St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, also saw the spectacle. There are more launches scheduled for this week, and according to someone we spoke with, we should keep our eyes on the sky. Who knows what we will see next? Chairman of the Progressive Virgin Islands Movement, PVIM, Ronnie W. Skelton, stands up for the national health insurance in admitting that it needs to be fixed by makers, him being one of them. During a press conference that kickstarted the party's election campaign, Skelton was clear that the current administration does not have the wherewithal to do what's necessary to fix the challenges of NHI.
If the present government did not understand how it works, then I really can't be blamed or be held responsible for something that was planned to operate in a holistic way.
According to Skelton, the financing of NHI by government has led to the many challenges.
And if you don't finance it, it will not work. Let me give you an example that I think what is happening. The government way back has exempt everyone over 65, school children, children of school age, police officers, and other people and they give them free healthcare services. So the government has to pay that bill. So if the government is not paying that bill, the NHI will have a problem. But if you elect me, who knows what the problem is, I can fix it. That's how simple that is. But if you send others to do a job that they have no knowledge of, then you will always have a problem.
When the bill was passed in the House of Assembly back in 2014, Skelton was the Minister for Health and Social Development. He had said then they were fulfilling a pledge to the people of the territory to ensure that all residents are provided comprehensive and affordable health care coverage. However, from the get-go, there were bittersweet reactions. Today, it's getting more bitter reactions than sweet.
You see, NHI, I was trying to build a comprehensive healthcare system. Let me shed some light so you'll be a lot more informed. A comprehensive healthcare system where the hospital, the clinics in Eastern and Western and Borgingada, helipads in the different places to bring people who need to come to the hospital, the main hospital for major stuff, will get there. The NHI was the financing wing of all of that stuff.
Reforming NHI was one of the many things on the agenda to be fixed by parties and independents who campaigned during the elections of 2019. Girls are being drugged at schools, boys attending school armed, and the street guys sends a message to mothers: put a casket in your living room for your sons. The Virgin Islands is in trouble as a generation of young people have lost their hearts. This is according to head of Male Mentoring Anointed Leaders Everywhere, Mr. Anderson Tittle.
A lot of our young men, we have lost some of them, and if you ask me, I will say up front, we have lost a generation. And it's up to us now to rebuild and rebuild from the core. I'm saying to us, let us get behind the people who are in the trend and help them, because we are in trouble here in the BVI if we don't, and there's no time for us to deny it. Our generation, the younger generation, they have lost their heart for empathy. There's no heart. There's no heart, and that's my problem. You look in their eyes and their very soul. There's no soul. They will look in your eyes and they will tell you, you're out. And that means you're out.
Mr. Tittle was addressing the Rotary Club of Tortola on February 23, 2023, when he shared bluntly the realities of the situation in the schools.
We may also have launched what we call at the high school, the venting room, where every Friday at 3:40, I will go into a room and the boys, young ladies, they will come in and we will have our little session where they will release some of their little stress or talk about it. And you get to hear stuff and it makes you feel like, where are we heading? Because mom is not concerned anymore. And it gets dangerous when you receive a phone call and say, Mr. Tittle, you got to come and bail me because my mom says she's not coming. My dad is not coming. And I have to say to him, sit there for one more day. It won't kill you, but then I'll show up because I don't want him to stay there. It is serious. I've never seen so much brass knuckle in all my life. I asked the principal responsible for that department. This is not a school. This is the police department. They're brass knuckles. You're talking about in a classroom where you have all kind of weapon. These brass knuckles have knife on them. And I said to them early on when the designing of the high school, and I said, how can you build a high school and you don't have a metal detector at the gate? And they said to me, Mr. Tittle, our children, we're not criminals. Why are you going to put But now they're seeing how important it is to have that, because they're children who are walking in the schools, and they're walking in the schools with all these weapons. We have children who are on suspension for a month and a half. I'm saying, I wish someone in here can get the idea and come up, because the thing about it, unless I decide to engage those boys and find something to do. I have 2 gardens where I plant some banana and some stuff, so every now and then I get them in the garden and get them working. These boys have been suspended and they are home, they're not doing anything, which means it gives them the opportunity to create more war. If I say to a young man, I will give you $100 to work in the garden this Saturday, he laughed at me. He laughed at me. $100, he laughed at me. I can get on my scooter and make more than that. And don't ask me how. Because I can't afford to pay him $500. I can't afford to pay him $1,000, but there are people who are willing to pay him $1,000. Now he's going to be loyal to them because they have more money than me.
That's in the schools. What about the streets?
Male decide that we are going to launch what we call a peace treaty because of all that is happening among us. And I had my first meeting 2 weeks ago with some guys from the east, some from the west, some from up the hill. And we sat and I began to engage in some conversation with them. And one of the guys said to me without any kind of apology, it's too late. It's too late. And he continued by saying, the street will have to clean itself. And I asked, well, what does that mean? It means that I'm not safe anymore? He said, no, you don't have to worry. We know who we are looking for, and we have professionals looking for them. So what are we supposed to do now? This was my next question. He said, Mr. Tittle, do me a favor. Ask all the mothers who know that they have their son and they're involved in illegal or activities that is not wholesome to get a casket and put it in their living room. That's when it became very scary for me, and I realized that we are on a real dangerous path.
It's not only the young men at risk, but young women as well.
We're having the problem where a lot of these girls, they love the thug boys. They love the rough boys. They will go for the guys who are the rough and the rugged because they like to be on the bikes, they like to look good. But one of the saddest things that I saw last month, which really, well, it literally tore my heart apart, where this young lady, they have in the school where they have the edibles. The edibles, for those of you who don't know, is cookies, but the cookies are laced with marijuana. Now they're mixing it with a little bit of the coke. We have students, girls, who are taking off their underwear and they're swinging it. This is the stage we are at, because they're so high, they're not even conscious of what they're doing. So that's one of the problems we're having, and that's why my wife decided, hey, I gotta reach these girls.
Mr. Tittle finds himself putting his life on the line, but has no challenge doing so because he was once one of the boys.
And I probably might get myself in trouble, but it's peace. I already said to my mom, I already said to my son, I've given enough trouble. It's time for me to redeem myself and do some good things. So if it means that I will lose my life and get into a zone where it's dangerous, this is my call. This is what I've signed up for. And I love it and I enjoy doing it. The principal in my school home asked me not to come back to their school because I will go to school with my machete in my bag as my pen. So I was one of the boys who they listed as no good, who will never amount to anything. My mom will often say to me, why I didn't drink that thing that they gave me to get rid of you. They told me I would not live to see 20. I came to Tortola. It was beautiful because you guys used to leave your house open. I used to live in the gut, and I just continue being a nice boy that I used to be at home.
Now, Mr. Tittle is part of a movement with the Rotary family exploring a universal approach in dealing with these issues. The realities of mental illnesses.
I too have challenges with mental wellness. And we're silent. You see, each one of us, we're only one experience away from being challenged. One situation, one bill away, one complex subject away from needing help. So the more we can talk about it, the more we can smile about it, the more we can recognize persons who have challenges with it, the more I'm able to say, and you're able to say, I and you and we also need to have conversations about mental wellness.
Persons who feel the spang of mental illnesses share their stories.
I can recall my first attempt at starting the conversation on mental illness. Although I did not have the name for what I was experiencing, I still sought an outlet to understand what was happening. But what I was met with was shame and accusations of being ungrateful. Sad? What do you have to be sad about? There are people in worse situations than you, and you complain? Girl, pick up a book or say your prayers. Does that sound familiar?
Mental illness is real, and conversations must continue.
I went through a divorce, and trust me, when I was younger, I was a person saying, oh, what do you mean I'm going to commit suicide? Like, who thinks that way? Until you're in that position, and you don't know the things that will trigger you. And at one point, I thought about jumping off my mom's roof after Irma, when I thought I was going to lose my kids.
Mental illness should be everyone's business. And I myself went through a little bit of that in summer of 2022. And I had to catch myself and leave the BVI and go somewhere else and just scream for a bit.
This is not a choice. This is not how I would choose to feel. However, it is what it is. And this is me. I acknowledge it. I embrace it. I accept it. And I choose to get up every day and battle it. So far, I have been winning, but many have lost their battle. Partly because they felt they had nowhere to turn and get help without being ridiculed. Again, my name is Kishma Robinson. I live with depression. I live with depression and anxiety. Let's have a conversation.
Dr. Virginia Rulbain continues efforts to ensure that persons access scholarship to study in this field.
This journey began officially in 2017 when Peter contacted me about a campaign in the UK that we were not aware of. The Mind UK campaign to end stigma and discrimination against persons with mental illness. And we would fast forward about 4 years and we would be contacted by Public Health England, who said, hey, here's an opportunity for the BVI to learn how to combat stigma and discrimination. And so BVI was chosen along with Bermuda, and we were trained in the same program that Mind UK ran for 5 years very successfully. And we had to find funding. And so I spoke to the executive director, Dr. Sauda Smith. How am I going to fund this campaign? And she says, why don't you apply with Unite BVI? And we did. And it was unanimous that this was something that was important to the BVI. And so we received 100% funding. So thank you to Unite BVI. And so Kim, vivacious, vibrant Kim, contacted Peter, and Harneys provided the seed money for our scholarship program.
Minister for Health and Social Development, Honorable Marlon A. Penn, a strong advocate.
We grew up in a society where mental health is taboo, and persons grew up where you heard the stories that It's crazy. We are very insensitive when it comes to issues surrounding mental health. The way that we treat persons and the conversations this week have made me reevaluate my approach, particularly with my young 16-year-old son. And I think we all have to reevaluate our approach in how we deal with persons who suffer in silence for mental health.
This was a gala event of February 25, 2023, held at the Government House. Dr. Rubin and her team were out to raise a sum of $15,000 for the scholarship program, and this was surpassed with on-the-spot donations and silent auctions. Her passion for sports saw her being the only girl running with boys on many occasions.
I got into this from the age of probably 6 or 7, where I grew up playing football on the streets with only boys and without shoes. We used to take the cardboard and make shoes just to take the hotness of the pitch. So when we enter the field as kids, we can't play because the older people are there. So we make our own pitch and our own goals from stones or bottles or whatever we can get. And we started it, and that's back in my country in St. Vincent.
Never one day did she back down, save during her pregnancy and postnatal periods.
After that, I started to develop more and get more better. And when I was at the age of normally, I was a track star also. I used to run for my country 100 and 200 meter. So after that, you know, being a young lady, you get around. I got pregnant and had a child, so it slowed me down a bit. And then I took up back football and put away track. And then about 2 years after, we had a sports caster, which was Mr. Mike Finley, and then I reached out to him after watching St. Vincent played Mexico in I think it was around 1991, and they got beaten like 14-0, and I was feeling very bad because I was telling the sports caster that myself as a woman can do much better than those boys that was playing. So he reached out to me, and I went to the one of his shows, and I gave them my name, and then he reached out to the women in St. Vincent and asked them if they're willing to play football, and then other people take it up, and then we started. Then we started in St. Vincent, but it didn't get far because they wasn't really supporting the women before I migrated here about 25 years now. And I took it up when I came here. I was the only lady playing on the field with the boys, with all the guys. And we started to get together, and we started to ask the older ladies if they want to play. Then we started 3-7 aside, and then I got into the loving coaching the kids, and then I took it up and I took it from there, from my heart, right up to today. And with or without pay, I'm still going to do it.
Just a part of the story of her life as a woman in sports, she shared with us on a Saturday, February 25, 2023, when, to her surprise, she received a special award from the organizers of the BVI Football Festival.
Cass, I know that you've been doing a lot of work. So today, they want to give you a little recognition for your work you have done. Now, don't blame me. I want you to blame Champagne. She was listening to the Sports Beat magazine, and she heard that you've been doing this for 30 years. And you know what she told me? We got to do something for Cass.
A well-deserved honor for Miss Cassandra Craig, and she is not the type that basking and taking the limelight, tooting her own horns, but humbly shared some of her story with us.
I had a group of young girls in 20, I think it's 2020, yes. And those girls they were amazing, but then they brought someone else, take them, and they went different areas, and then it died down. And then that's when my passion really turned mostly to the boys, because the boys would always come out because they love to practice. So the girls, we just were playing some 7-a-side at Greenland, and then it was that. But then I took up the boys, which I'm seeing a lot of my I don't want to say my qualities in those guys, because I walk with them. I love walking with them. They are very respectful. Also myself, because the first thing that comes with sports, it has to be respect and discipline. And if you don't have respect and discipline, then you cannot play sports.
And her dream for Virgin Islands women in football?
Women in football, maybe I might pass, but I read World Cup. What we are in 2023. Probably by 2030 we should be there.
Minister for Education, Youth Affairs and Sports, Honorable Cherie B.D. Castro, and Minister for Health and Social Development and District 8 Representative, Honorable Marlon A. Penn, were both present at that ceremony. That will do it for this edition of Front Row. Remember, you can follow us as well on Facebook at JTV Channel 55 and on YouTube at Jahphix Television-JTV. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Front Row.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.